everyone. Welcome back to Marriage Sensation. We are a marriage ministry out of New Life at Calvary Church, located on East 79th and Euclid Avenue in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Katy Glenn.
And I'm Walter Glenn.
And we're so glad to have you back. Today, we're going to be talking about friendship in marriage. It's a very important concept, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great topic.
It's a great topic.
You wonder, when you see some couples, are they friends based on their behavior with each other and how they interact and the things you see going on? You wonder, is there a friendship embedded within that marriage? And so that's what we're going to talk about.
So I have a couple of beginning questions for you. One is, are you friends with your spouse? Just think about that for a minute. Are you friends with your spouse? And were you, did you start out as friends before you got married? Or did that, friendship grow, or did it even grow into something within your marriage that, just kind of uplifts it?
Yeah, did your friendship develop? I think for us, I'll start out on my end of it, and then you can probably chime in with your part of it.
Okay.
I think we met, and it was a great meeting, and we sort of started out just corresponding via the phone. We went on a couple dates, and it was a very slow process towards friendship. We were both taking it very, very slow and easy, and not forcing anything, not trying to push it. And sooner before later, I looked up and I had really developed some feelings for this young lady because she's so beautiful, and as she is now, and so our friendship really evolved, and it kept evolving and evolving all the way up to our wedding date. And we got married because by the time it was time for us to get married, I had to fight her to keep her hands off me. So it was beginning to be a problem. So I felt we better get. We thought, okay, you get it. Okay, you go.
All right. I have to agree that we started out as friends because we just met at a Halloween party, and so he was very nice and easy to talk to. And so I thought, this might, we always thinking it might go somewhere. And so we talked on the phone a lot because you were working nights then.
I was working nights, yeah.
Right, and so we talked on the phone a lot. We went on a couple dates and just had the nicest time. And like you said, nothing was pushed, nothing was forced. It just kind of slowly turned into a deeper relationship than just friendship. And so that was it was a nice experience because it just kind of flowed real easy, and we found out that we had some things in common, some things we didn't have in common, but as friends you sort these things out.
Yeah.
And so you talk about that before you hope the situation doesn't get any more serious. You talk about different things that you want, things that you like, things that you don't like, and that's what friends do. You learn about your other person and what they like and what they don't like, and so that's how the friendship develops.
It does. And so we've got some ideas about how to keep friendship alive once you get into your marriage. Now, it's one thing to be friends before marriage. Hopefully we'll be friends at the end of the marriage.
Right.
But we're talking about how do you stay friends during your marriage, where you really have an affection for this person. You ever hear the term, I love that person, but I really don't like them, which is, it's an indicator of the fact that there's been some friendship loss there. You love the person, sure, for all the years and all the things that you've done together, but you really don't like the person because of some characteristics or traits that may have jumped out at you through the course of the marriage.
Yeah, I was going to say, that happens during the course of a marriage, where you go back and forth because you're not going to like the person all of the time, and so you're going to keep loving the person, but you're not going to like them all of the time. And so that's just kind of a consequence of being married, and hopefully having that friendship already gets you over that barrier.
Yeah.
It gets you over that barrier as you think about the other person, the behavior changes or whatever changes to bring you back to, I love you, and I love you.
Yeah, it's the foundational piece. When you build a
Right.
house, you need that foundation first, and then you build the house. Well, the friendship tends to be the foundational piece
Right.
before the marriage,
Right.
and you build on that, and it leads to marriage, and you go into the marriage, and you continue to grow and build on that. So let's go to some of
So-
our points here. And see
So
what we
another
got.
question I have for you is, how do you keep friendship alive after years of marriage? Because you hope to be, married a long time, and you hope that friendship would still be there. So the answer to that question is that you have to do what friends do. Or really, you have to remember what friends do, because in a long-term relationship like that, you can forget sometimes, why you even like this person,
Yeah.
So that friendship component needs to come back to your memory so you can remember, we used to be friends. We used to be friends.
In the context of marriage, you can keep an active friendship working, and it's very similar in some case, to some degree, to a natural friendship.
Right.
Obviously, barring some sexual components and things like that, but we've got some pointers. Maybe we thought that here's what it will be good to keep a friendship active and alive while you are married.
Right.
Because it will be critically important.
And you look back on, your regular friendships, and what do friends do? They talk to each other.
Yeah.
They talk to each other, they keep up on what's happening in your friend's life, or, the good and the bad, and so you can, talk these things out. And just as a friend, you can talk these things out. And it's even closer with your spouse, because, they will know things that most likely a regular friend, some things they're just not going to know. But, talking to each other, and again, that's communication. It's very important.
I think it's open and honest communication,
Right.
Too, because I think to keep your friendship alive in your marriage, you got to have some very open, honest communication,
Right.
where you can talk about things that really can be difficult at times, and we'll talk about that a little later in this lesson. But having that line of communication leads to a very good friendship, where you can just have a good conversation. You enjoy that person. You enjoy being with that person,
Right.
and communicating with them.
Another thing is to support each other.
Yeah.
You support each other through whatever you're going through, because 9 times out of 10 you're going through that together. And so you need to support each other, because oftentimes when one person is down, the other person is up, and then it switches roles, and you could be the down person and they could be the up person. But supporting each other in whatever you're going through is most important, especially in a friendship.
I think that's the beauty of marriage. I think some things, as you said earlier, you're going to go through collectively.
Right.
You're both going to be going through it at the same time. Maybe a sick child, you're both going to be going through that. But there's some things that you're going to be going through as individuals.
Right.
Maybe the one person loses the job and the other one didn't. Okay, and so while it affects both of you, one person is really going through it a little. They're processing it a little differently than the other person.
Right.
So there's things you're going to go through individually that
You get support from the other person.
You need
because
the support.
you're talking. Hopefully, you're talking about what you're going through,
Yeah.
and so that you can get the support and encouragement from your spouse.
And in marriage, support comes physically. It comes emotionally. That's a big one. Spiritually. So those are all big components in marriage, where they have to be there, because I know sometimes you can get a little spiritually down, and the other person can pick you up. Hey, how's your devotions going? Or in our case, we do our devotions together, so sometimes we pick each other up based on the devotion we do that evening.
Right.
So
Another area is giving economic support. You all hopefully have your funds meshed together so it goes into one pot for the family. And so, when things come up, you may need to purchase something, or something maybe a little bit more than, what you all agreed to. But if you talk it out, again, communication, you talk it out, and you figure out how can we fit this in our budget, or what can we move to meet this need that you're having, but you're getting that support. You're not getting fussed at or, criticized about what are you doing with the money, or, why do you need this sort of thing. But you get that support so that you can get through that particular situation.
And Katie, I think you hit on something there, because sometimes the answer is no.
Right.
Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes this is out of our price point. This is out of our range.
Right.
And I don't view that as a lack of support when somebody says, honey, we agreed that we only wanted to pay $150,000 for our house, and we're looking. The realtor's showing us houses for $250,000. Well, I mean, that's going to put us in a situation where we're going to be uncomfortable. So
that always drives me crazy on house hunters, when the realtor is giving you a house that's way out of your price range. I'm like, they shouldn't even look at the house.
Well, that's their job, honey.
I know.
That's their job.
I'm not even going to look at this
Their
house.
job is to make more money for themselves. It's our job to stay within our price point.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's where you can find support, although that kind of support is hard to take sometimes. When your spouse is telling you about a job opportunity and you're weighing pros and cons, and he or she is saying, well, honey, are you looking at this part of it? It's going to take you away from the home. You're going to have to travel more. These are 50-hour weeks, etc., etc. So yeah, that kind of support is also necessary, because sometimes it's not all the yes, yes, yes. Sometimes it's the no.
Right. And as a married couple, another thing to keep that friendship alive is to go on dates and throw some romance in there.
Amen.
Get on a nice date, go for a nice dinner, or just, it doesn't even have to be dinner, but just being together in maybe a quiet little place or a walk in the park. That could be very romantic.
Yes. And
that could keep that friendship going, where you're in a place where you can talk.
Yeah.
You can really get out your feelings or whatever needs to be said. Friends do that.
Well, I think when you went to topic number 3, you combine the first two, because you can talk in that kind of environment, and you can support the other person in that kind of environment.
Right.
And I think that all blends together. It all works together for good.
Another thing is that friends usually think the best of each other.
Oh, that's a good one.
They think the best. They do not assume the worst, but they think the best of the other person.
Amen.
And that type of friendship, or that type of friend, can go a very long way in your relationship.
Now, you can pick up on this, but I think that is critical when things aren't going well.
Right.
When things aren't going well, it's always good to assume the best of your spouse, because those are the times it's easy to assume the worst. When things aren't going well, oh, you just did that on purpose, or I knew you were going to do that. As opposed to, I don't really think that they meant what the way it went, the way it happened. I don't think they meant it the way it happened, and I don't think it was meant to harm or to hurt or to cause pain. And I think thinking the best. In the years that we've been able to build up with each other, it has helped us immensely to kind of take a step back during a crisis and say, well, no, this is not in this person's character, and it's not what I know of this person. So let me think the best of this situation, and think better of it might be a bad situation, but you think better of the person.
Right.
You can separate the situation from the person.
Right. Exactly. And another thing about friends and friendship is that the friends have things in common that they can talk about, that they can share together. Like you said, friends help in the worst of times just by giving you all that support that we talked about. The friends can be there to get you through those worst times. And another thing is that friends trust each other. And that's so important in marriage, that you trust each other, where you can say what needs to be said without any fear of repercussions or anything like that, and that there's just peace between the two of you.
Yeah. Well, to your point of friends having things in common, I mean, what we like to do, we like to watch movies together. I mean, and see, this developed over years of friendship, because when we first got married, she couldn't sit me down for 2 hours to watch a movie, and but now she can, because our relationship has evolved and changed and morphed into something that's a little more conducive to that kind of behavior. So I think you'll find some things that you had in common naturally in the beginning. Like, we both liked sports a little bit. She was a cheerleader. I played sports. She didn't know a whole lot about sports, but I was able to say, "Oh, that's."
He didn't mind me asking, crazy questions that so obvious, but I just didn't understand sports. But that's a good friend who will be patient enough to listen to those types of questions. Even though he's watching the game, he would answer them. So that was a good sign of a good friend who could be patient like that.
Well, I enjoyed you watching it with me. So and if that was what I had to do to get you to continue to watch, that was okay. I think we like going for walks together. We like doing simple things. She likes to go out to eat. I love to eat. So we like to go out and have dinner, have lunch, have breakfast together. It didn't matter the meal. It was just that we were going out.
We were together.
We were together. Yeah. So we had those types of things in common. We had some common goals, and we had common ambitions, and we wanted to see certain things happen. And so we had a lot of things that we had in common that really were the glue. They kind of glued the marriage together, and continue to do so, because we haven't stopped sort of developing ourselves as a couple and thinking about what can we do next? What would the Lord have us to do? And the main thing we had in common, though, was about a month into our relationship, when we were first dating, she said to me, "I cannot date a man that does not go to church." And so I looked at her and I thought, church will not be so bad. I'd never been there before, a couple times, and I thought, let's go. And then we had something really in common as that progressed, because we fell in love with Jesus together, and that really solidified that relationship. Having a common purpose in Christ was really what helped our relationship through the thick and thin and the ups and downs.
And the other thing is that friends go all out for each other.
They go all out.
If they need help, usually your friend is right there, and that's what your husband is for, to be right there whenever you need something or whenever something happens. That person will go all out for you.
And men, that's what your wife is for. We're all in. I mean, we are all in this thing together. We're going to go all out for each other. That means if we've got to hustle, if we've got to take on a second job, if we've got to provide emotional support, if in fact we see that the in-laws need additional help, we're there, because all those are part of being all in together. We moved Katie's mom in for about 9 months with us, and I was the happiest person in the world. I loved having her here. So I mean, we've got to be. That's part of that support system too, supporting each other, but just being all in, being on the team together, where we're functioning together as a unit, working hard for each other.
So we're hoping that you're understanding that friendship is a bonus in your marriage.
It's a bonus.
That's a bonus, because friends do things that other people wouldn't do, but your spouse, being your friend, he's all out for you, she's all out for you to do whatever you need for support and encouragement. That is so important in a friendship. That's why it's so important in marriage.
Yeah, I'll close with a quick story. We got two couples in our church, Ruth and Carl Yarborough and Larry and Jackie Rush, and they talk about being such good friends with each other over such a long period of time in marriage. And I think that is a beautiful blessing and a bonus.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's about it for today. So what do you think? Any last thoughts from you?
Just be friends. And if you aren't friends, start making that a goal, that you want to be friends with your spouse. Agree with each other about it and just start working on it.
Amen. Friendship has lots of bonuses in marriage.
It does.
So until next time, we want your marriage to be sensational.